We're at the bottom. We are not.
We got people Isaac's team now that have 10 players. They were down for the whole time.
No bueno. No.
Okay, I've got 6 clues. That works tonight. Here we go. All right. I got 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you haven't signed in yet, please sign in so we have a register of everybody that's been here. So we're going to put that in the minutes. And at this time, I'll ask for Pastor Tyler Aarons of the Trinity Lutheran Church to come up to the podium and give the invocation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time tonight to gather for this council meeting. Also, thank you for the election of the new members of the council, as well as the re-election of the mayor here. May all of them serve to the best of their abilities and guide and direct them in their new positions, Lord. And now, please bless this council in all their discussion, all needs to be discussed, and may the decisions made be for the betterment of Guymon. It's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
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 Mr. Eisen, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, what do they want to introduce these kiddos? Are they here for the evening? or-
They're here to support one of our items.
Okay. Okay. And fit into the chairs. They said y'all, I didn't know if y'all were staying or going or what, but make yourself at home. So anyway, I'll call this meeting to order. Agenda item number 3 is presentation of proclamation declaring the week of May 14th through 20th as National Police Week. And I'll read the proclamation real quick. I guess we got a hard copy. But anyway, proclamation, whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agencies of Guymon, Texas County, and the state of Oklahoma play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Guymon. And whereas it's important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency. And the members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the law enforcement agency of Guymon, Texas County, and the state of Oklahoma unceasingly provide a vital public service. I, Kim Peterson, Mayor of the City of Guymon, Oklahoma, and the City Council call upon all citizens of Guymon to observe May 15th, 2023 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay proper respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Now, therefore, I, Kim Peterson, Mayor of Guymon, Oklahoma, and the City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 14th through 20th to be National Police Week. I think we've got a few of our officers here. Would you gentlemen like to stand up so we can recognize you? And we don't have a paper copy to give you tonight, so we'll get one and get it out to y'all. But thank you all so much. Now, real quick, I've got one other one, and this one kind of popped up, and we were able to make it work. Because most people in Guymon, I think, have probably already heard that tomorrow, May 10th, is Lois Boston's birthday. Lois turns 110 years old tomorrow. She's the oldest, from what we know, she's the oldest living lady in the state of Oklahoma. We recognized her a couple of years ago, and so anyway, we've got a proclamation to take out tomorrow. It says, whereas Lois Willis Wallen was born May 10th of 1913 and was number 9 of 12 children. And whereas she graduated from Goodwill High School and Panhandle A&M College in Goodwill, Oklahoma, where she met and married Charlie Boston on December 24th, 1936. They owned Boston Furniture in Guymon, Oklahoma, and were married for 70 years until his passing in 2006. And whereas Lois taught school in May in Felt, Oklahoma, and played golf until she was 83 years old. And whereas Lois is a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and is a longtime faithful member of the United Church, the Victory Memorial Methodist Church. And whereas as of her birthday on May 10th, 2023, she would be 110 years old, and officially the oldest person in Oklahoma. Now therefore, I, Kim Peterson, Mayor of Guymon, Oklahoma, and the City Council hereby present this proclamation in honor of Lois Boston, and we hereby declare the week of May 7th through 13th of 2023 as Lois Boston Week. So we'll get this out to the Heritage and the Manor for Lois tomorrow, but that's a pretty big deal for somebody to live that long. It just shows how good of folks we are in the Panhandle. All right, let me. Okay, agenda item number 4. Wait, I forgot. Agenda item 2 is attendance roll call.
Okay. Peterson,
Here.
Alvedras, Setzer,
Present.
Sanchez,
Here.
Eidson,
Here.
Ms. Hoffman,
Here.
Mr. Petty,
Here.
Mr. Shannon.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is approval of the consent agenda.
I motion to approve item number 4, consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Eidson,
Aye.
Setzer,
Aye.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 5 is discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2309, authorizing the execution of agreement between the City of Guymon and the State of Oklahoma for US 64 beginning at junction of Main Street in Guymon, extend east 0.8 miles to junction of the US 54 project. This is agreement number 32806, parentheses 04, a closed caption, whatever that is, I don't know.
Parentheses.
Parentheses, okay. Resolutions attached, agreements attached. Is there any discussion, a motion?
Mayor, may I just say
Yes,
something?
you-
This is a formality with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. They started their planning process and drawing up plans to basically redo 12th Street from Highway 54 to Bank of Panhandle. So, good. New lights, new concrete,
Sidewalks.
sidewalks,
Right.
curb and gutters.
Okay.
And this is the state? This is the state?
Yeah, state, yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number 2309, authorizing the execution of agreement between the City of Guymon and the State of Oklahoma for US 64 beginning at junction of Main Street in Guymon, extend east 0.8 miles to junction 54. Project agreement number 238604 in parentheses.
3280604 in parentheses.
Is that what I said?
No,
Oh.
but I second that.
So I have a motion and a second.
Setzer,
Aye.
Eidson,
Aye.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number
This
6,
is good.
discussion and possible action to approve service contracts with Phillips Healthcare for comprehensive on-site maintenance and repair contract for the Phillips Pro Cardiac monitors in the unit exchange agreement for the Phillips LS defibrillators. Staff reports there. The chief here, anybody at the fire department, you want to talk? There we go, there's the man, I forgot.
I'm here.
You're the guy in charge of it.
I'm just hiding back there. Almost 2 years ago now, we purchased some cardiac monitors which replaced our then obsolete cardiac monitors, and so that we have working cardiac monitors on all 4 of our ambulances. They came with a 2-year service agreement, and they've been working great, by the way. We have utilized the service agreement. We've had repairs done on 3 of those monitors during that time period. But that service agreement ends in June of this year. And so this proposal is a extension of the service contract. The expected life of those units is 7 years. So this would extend the service contract out those remaining 5 years for the expected life of those units. The cost for the annually is about $10,024 for all 8 units. And that's the cardiac monitor. It's called an ALS Pro, which is the one that tells us all the vital signs, gives us all the good information, as well as the defibrillator portion, which is the part that allows us to actually treat patients.
Any questions?
I make a motion to approve the service contract with Philips Healthcare for comprehensive on-site maintenance and repair contract for Philips Pro cardiac monitors and unit exchange agreement for Philips LS defibrillators.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Idson.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Setzer.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Thank you.
Sir. Agenda item number 7 is discussion and possible action to approve order of determination for Funk Edition, the east 70 foot of Lot 12B 33, lot size 50 by 70, also known as 211 Northeast 10th. Pictures and code enforcement activities attached.
So
Yes, ma'am.
I have a backstory on all of this. I found the property in violation back in November, so it's been 6 months that the case has been open. I gave him a 10-day notice. He did not fix the violation, so I did issue a citation. Went to court, and he was in violation, and we did. He was found guilty. So I don't believe, I did talk to the court clerk and they did not get any payment for that. So my next step was to take it for abatement. We did have a hearing, he did show up, however, he did not fix the violations. And that hearing was on April the 3rd. So he did say he would move it out of public view, but he has not fixed the violations. And I do have pictures from today if you would like to see those. So this has been an ongoing violation for a while. He does move stuff off, but he'll move stuff back on, and it seems like he's doing a business out of his home, which it's against ordinance to do that as far as zoning. We do have recording of the hearing if you guys want to hear that. If you guys have any suggestions of what we could do to this, because if we remove everything and he continues to throw it, more stuff on the property, what are we supposed to do? That's the issue. We don't want to keep doing the abatement. We want to figure out a way to fix these violations without having to go back.
Okay. So we can't do anything, you can just keep abating it, go clean it up, and then he's gonna come back.
He does have a 6-month probation, which I can give him another citation if we need to. But at this point, we would have to take it back to council to do another abatement to get everything off, unless there's something else on Petty's side.
Yeah, if you struck what you've done up to now, you can start over, so, now's the time to go ahead and take action on it. It's been going since.
So do we need to just table this, forget it? Do we need to act on this tonight? and go forward, or?
What is the request of the?
Order of determination.
Order of abatement tonight?
And he is here today.
Okay.
Do you guys want to talk to him?
Yes.
Yeah, wouldn't you? Please come up and enlighten us, if you would.
Hello. As she said, I will clean up, and then after a day or two, I'll have something back on there. I don't necessarily run a business out of my home, but I do a lot of cleanup and such. I have I have 3 storages. Where I do what I do as work. I do odd jobs. I fix appliances. I just moved back home probably about November. I had my own place. I had my lot, my home. I went through from a 3-bedroom trailer to now a 1-bedroom back at my father's house. And this time within work and with adjusting myself, I do have things that I move constantly on and off. I know for the past 6 months, getting things organized and stuff like that, I have had a problem, but I feel like I've complied as far as I do make a very big effort. And every time I've come, I've been told how my improvement is. I understand that there is a problem with time as far as if I have something on, I'll clear off the yard tonight, and I'll probably have something again tomorrow while I figure out where to place it. I don't know exactly how, other than if I change my type of job, which is the reason I'm in the type of job I have the freedom to be watching over my father a bit more. My father is a little bit older. He's thin. I try to be kind of close to him. That's why I don't have a regular job like a keyboard or so forth. I don't disagree that at times that my yard gets out of control, but there's a constant movement. And with my current situation, as far as what I have the only family I have is my father. I don't have nobody else can look after him. I have nobody else that can take care of him other than my wife that also works with me. I believe with the last time they went, there's a contract that's wanted for me to sign, and I don't want to get into a contract with the city. No, I'm complying the best that I can. I do have things that I'm still trying to straighten out, but it's not I don't really have a whole lot to fall back on. I pay for my storages. I pay to take care of my father, make sure his needs are met. Also, while doing the jobs that I do, which is, I guess, not a normal thing around here. I do odd jobs. I refurbish machines. I work on people's machines. I don't understand so much why the thing of wanting to go in and throw things away. I've been working on it. There's been an honest effort. Every time I've come here, I've been told of the great improvement. But there's a part of what I do. It's I could understand if I went ahead and made my mess and just kind of left it there solid like that. There's my strip of land. It's like a 10-foot by 30 piece of land that can be seen. Everything else is behind a privacy fence. Nothing else can be seen. When I leave up front, usually my work day ends about 9-10 p.m. By the time I get done with doing whoever called me in to check things out, I get home tired. I'll put some things on the yard. Usually by the next day, they're moved around or they're picked up. There's a constant movement daily. All I know is whatever is decided to happen, what I want is to make sure that every decision was made was just, ethical, and in case that is voted for an abatement of my property, I would like to be informed of an appeal process. I know when I came last time for a ticket, I had no idea about an appeal process. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I don't know if it's the problem of me not signing this contract, but I don't want to sign a contract with the city. I have quite a bit on my plate as is, to where I don't need somebody just to come one day and move about things around the house. Also with that, my father, he's got a one-track mind. I don't know if whenever he had to come pay a ticket, somebody was here that saw this, my father's gonna get stuck on one thing, and it's gonna recycle, repeat, and then he's gonna be temperamental, and I'm not there's some things of his that I can't move at all because he's set in his ways, but as far as I had understood, as long as I'm complying, I'm not ignoring the problem, I'm not ignoring it, and I'm making an attempt to correct it. I don't understand why I have to keep doing this, or why they would abate our property. It's not like I don't attempt it. I know in the file on online, the pictures were from November and December. We took pictures. I've taken quite a few pictures where I have my property almost clear. It's not 100% clear of something. I won't lie to you guys and say that there's a time where my front yard is completely cleared off. I think when they came to ask for the contract, I had 2 machines in front of my carport. That was the issue. I have pictures though. I started taking pictures daily of what my effort is. I don't know. They have pictures of today, but I don't think I've seen any pictures on the minute or whatever that's online that has any updated pictures past December 9th. If you look at the pictures on there, there's no update from there that I could see online anyways. I do have pictures of weeks of what my day started as, how my day ended, because when I got home in time, I made sure that by the end of the night, I took most everything in.
Yes, let's stop first.
I've got a recommendation.
Okay.
That is for the council to go ahead and enter the order of determination, but delay enforcement of it for 30 days to give him an opportunity to comply.
Okay. Would that be okay with you?
I didn't hear him. Sorry.
In other words, we would enter a determination of going ahead and that you need to clean it up. We'll go ahead and file the paperwork, and we'll give you a 30-day extension to get it all cleaned up, get the property down to where it's supposed to be. Is that not what you're?
30 days.
Because
30 days.
where your home is located is zoned in a residential spot. It's not zoned to operate a business or a recycling center or anything else. And when this is a hard decision for us to make even, but when we let somebody accumulate things on their property, it affects everybody around us, property values, whether we have rodents, whatever. So at that time, I think we'll let you sit down and we'll thank you for your input.
I want to add on to where you mentioned property values. My block has 5 abandoned homes. There's 2 homes that have a caved-in, dilapidated building, and as I've asked code enforcement as well, as they're coming to get me to get a citation or for abatement or whatever, these homes, I've never seen an improvement in. I've been here. I was born here. We've been in that home since 1991. I know there's one home for sure that's been in the same state for 16 years. 16 years, positive. And
I think I'm sure that our code enforcement people and other folks were making some changes in that department, I think anyway, those will probably be addressed.
All right.
Let me put it that way.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Okay. So we just want to, do I have a motion to approve the order of determination for that address?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the order of determination for Funk E70 of Lot 12B 33, lot size 50 by 70, AKA 211 Northeast 10th Street, contingent upon a 30-day extension in which he's given to clean it up.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second?
Eidson,
Aye.
Setzer,
Aye.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 8 is discussion and possible action on awarding a bid to JRC Construction for weed and trash abatement. The Gray, Lot 63, Gray subdivision, lot 63, 60 by 110 by 67 by 118 feet, also known as 608 Gray Street. The staff report's attached and bid packet, and it's all yours.
Thank you. So, we only had one bid for grass and trash on this property. It was approved for order of determination and notice of bids, and we only had one notice or one bid packet come in for $3,100 to remove all grass and trash at 608 Gray. And the work would be done from May 10th to May 24th.
Okay. Your recommendation is to
Is-
proceed.
Yes, to approve for JRC to do the work.
Okay. Any questions, discussion, motion?
No, they do a great job. Make a motion to award the bid to JRC Construction for weed and trash abatement at Gray L63, AKA 608 Gray Street.
Second that.
Have a motion and a second.
Eidson,
Aye.
Setzer.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 9 is discussion and possible action on awarding the bid to JRC Construction for removal of dilapidated structure located at Gray Division, subdivision lot 63, 60 by 110 feet, 67 by 118 feet, also known as 608 Gray, which is the same property.
Yeah, we had 2 bids come in, but our code enforcement recommendation is to approve our lowest and best bidder, which was JRC for $6,100 to demolish the building at 608 Gray. And the work will be done by June 10th.
Okay. Any discussion, motion?
Nope, I'd like to make a motion that we award the bid to JRC Construction for the removal of dilapidated structure at lot 63, AKA 608 Gray.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second.
Eidson,
Aye.
Setzer.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have my pictures back?
You can, of course. Agenda item number 10 is discussion and action and possible action on funding for 7 days of Broadway in the amount of $16,800 as recommended by the Convention and Tourism Board. So, Mr. Shannon, do you have staff, somebody from staff want to talk about this, or?
Seven Days of Broadway and the Guymon Community Theater have been working on bringing this program back to Texas County, where it got started back in OPSU in 1996. This musical theater camp brings students ages 12 through 20 for 2 sessions, one week each session, and provides fine art training from both local and out-of-town artists and educators. They were requesting funds to cover the campers and full staff housing in Guymon hotels for the duration of both their camps. During the April 20th Convention and Tourism meeting, the board made a recommendation to approve the funding for the whole amount requested. Staff notes that the application met the deadline for July summer camp, but was 2 days late for the June summer camp, but the motion was passed 4 and 2 again, and 2 were absent. I apologize. The financial impact is $16,800 to the hotel motel tax. And I believe these ladies are here if y'all have any questions.
Okay. We'll let you talk just a second. So I guess my question, Mr. Shannon, would be on the timeframes.
Well, as spoken, as you go through your packet, you'll see the Convention Tourism Funding Application checklist. It is noted the application was received the 5th day of April, and we basically received too late to apply for the June event. According to the guidelines, deadline for the June event was April 3rd at 5 p.m. I signed off on that. Still presented to the Convention and Tourism. They I guess, decided to fund the whole amount, so. that's where I'm at.
Okay. Anything else?
All I have.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. I'll let
Hi,
you-
hello.
If you would, introduce yourselves.
Yes, I'm Casey Boyd. I'm one of the directors of 7 Days of Broadway.
And I am Arleva Bulls, and I am a co-director of 7 Days of Broadway.
And we brought with us many of our campers and our cast from our current production of Newsies across the street at the community theater where camp will be held. And we just wanted them to be able to see our government in work. And we're really excited for this program to come back to our community and to serve our kids in that way. And many of our students come to us on a scholarship basis. We allow application for scholarships to camp, so it's attainable for anyone that would like to come. And this funding would provide for housing, food, and professional people to come in and train our students.
Okay. All right, any questions?
Why was your deadline missed?
I was unsure about which type of application to send in, the event funding versus the non-event funding, and I filled out the wrong one first and submitted it first, and then after talking with Ms. Whitfield, I revised it and turned in the other form.
Okay. Questions? Comments?
I have another question for Ms. Whitfield. Did we give her the wrong application by mistake, or?
Hi. No, she did, they did have a question on which application was correct to turn in. And upon discussion with staff, we determined the application she needed to fill out. She had already, though, she did submit the opposite application, but if that was not held against her, that the opposite one needed to be turned in. So that one was turned in at a later date, but that, of course, was not held against the organization. Once they submitted their application, we went by that date, and it was for the one they needed to fill out was for the non-event, and they submitted the event, so that was the day we went by. And then we let them know that, yeah, upon staff discussion, we felt like it went more along the non-event guidelines. And then so they changed that and submitted that back to us.
But using the original date that they had submitted, or no?
Yes, it was the same information. They just put it on the right application.
Okay.
But we went by the date that it was sent to us, and then they did take that information and put it on the correct application.
Okay. So either way, the application was late on the first one?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In the application, we had discussed the event versus non-event application, and since we were talking about hotel motel tax and staying in hotels, the event funding application was in regards, had a section on it about hotels, and I thought maybe that was what it should go towards, since that was what we were asking about, and that was why I was confused about which form to turn in. But she is correct, we did turn it in incorrectly.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I just want to say on behalf of the Convention and Tourism, the reason it was voted for unanimously is because everything else checked out, so.
So my question would be, we got into this with some other ones, is the timeliness and the date stamps. And we've made, I can't remember which one it was. Last year we kind of made a provision because of dates in it. Yeah. So I don't, that would be my concern is They didn't make the deadline for the first one, but we're still giving them the whole amount.
I would like to make the comment that we can take this as a learning experience, not only for you guys, but also for you individuals that are young and going up. When you meet a deadline in the real world, it's gone. So if it passes, that's great for you guys, but if it doesn't, this is the real world. So make sure, be it scholarships, grants, or anything that you're going after, you meet those deadlines, okay? Because not everybody is forgiving. Okay?
Are there legal implications on approving this?
No, I mean, it's up to the council to act. You've got a recommendation from the board, so it's your decision.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Okay? Well, do we have any other discussion, motion, whatever?
I will motion to approve the second application and not the first. So motion to approve July and not June.
The
Or do I have to say,
application
do I
is
have to,
one app- is
do I
one
have to word it
application.
differently?
It's one application. I don't think you can approve half of an application.
So how would I have to say that, Mr. Petty?
Well, it could come into the same play that we've had some applications that there's been more than one event, and you've got a packet here that you can take home with you, but I've always been under the assumption you can only apply for one event at a time. But that's just me.
So I'll put it into better words, I guess. I will motion to approve the funding for the 7 Days of Broadway in the amount of $8,400 and not take into recommendation the Convention and Tourism Board.
Okay. Have a motion. Do I have a second? The motion would be to give them half the money, $8,400.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second.
Setzer,
I have to abstain.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Eidson,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes and 1 no.
Okay, before you kids all, thank you, ladies. Hope that'll help. Now, before you all leave, we've got the cast here from Newsboys?
Newsies.
Newsies. Well, I figured somebody correct me, and that's good. So why don't you all come up to the front of the building? Turn around so if your mothers are here, they can get pictures, or somebody can get pictures of you all. And give us a little taste of what we might see at the community theater tomorrow.
I guess so, yeah. I guess you have to sing now.
Who's their director? They got a quick song? Huh? Do you sing?
Yeah,
You don't
they all
sing?
sing.
Do you sing it? Huh? He's in it?
Just,
Tell them, have them sing Carrying the Banner. Oh, she's got to figure it out.
Go ask, get up, Josh, jump up there and get him to sing something. Go on, Josh.
What are we singing, Katie? Okay, yeah, perfect.
Come on, we don't have all night long.
They need the music.
Oh, you need the. All right, thank you all for showing up. As
Can't
they-
wait to see you live.
As they would say this weekend, break a leg.
That's right, yes. Good. This man's educated.
All right, thank you.
thank you, guys.
reminder, that's this weekend and next weekend.
Tell them.
Yeah, they're performing Thursday night. We're skipping, and then Friday night, we're skipping Saturday for graduation, and then we're performing Sunday, and then next weekend, we're performing 2 shows on Saturday and 1 show on Sunday, so that way we're off on Friday for graduation at the high school. So yeah, come join us.
Okay.
I'm the bad guy.
We already knew that, John. All right. Agenda item number 11 is discussion and possible action on approving the submission of the unallocated PREP funding application. Yes, ma'am. Sheila, please enlighten us.
Okay, so a little back history. The unallocated PREP funds program was designated to provide infrastructure funding for industrial projects. So they had one that they had already kind of accumulated certain communities that would receive the PREP funds, and then they had some unallocated PREP funds, so that's kind of what we're playing with right now. It's intended behind the creation of this program is to provide funding access to communities for the purpose of creating national marketable economic development sites for industrial. For Guymon to become marketable, or even for us to go anywhere to attract any industrial businesses, we first need to address our water issue. I can't tell you how many times I've had an RFP come to my desk and I can't go any further. We cannot provide any water. We are asking for funding to help us with the new wells, in which are currently in the process of getting assessed. They only have about $19.5 million in unallocated funds for the entire state of Oklahoma. So this is not something we think we're going to get a chunk of funding from, but what we're trying to do is set us up for the next 3 years. So with all the projects that are being submitted for the unallocated funds at this year, it's going to set them up to see what our communities are looking for next year's PREP funding, so that we can have direct allocated funds. So that's kind of what we're doing here. It is the same funding application. We still have to go through the same process like it's a grant, knowing that if we do get funded, it's not going to be what we actually, like the huge portion that we need. I think we're asking for 70%, so we're looking at $14 million. Again, we know this is not something we're going to get funded for. This is trying to set us up for the future. So we prepared this, and we just want to see if y'all are okay with us submitting this project. So it is the well project that we've discussed with the engineers and the geologists, I believe. And we have preliminary costs done by Park Hill, which is $20 million. It's $20,551,720. And again, those numbers are very preliminary. We're in the process of going through the bids to kind of bid out this project.
Okay. So it's free infrastructure for water project that we're working on?
Yes, this is just, we're going to get real aggressive. If there's a dime out there that could be used, we're going after it. So this is step one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve the submission of the unallocated PREP funding application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Setzer.
Aye.
Eidson.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 12 is discussion and possible action to approve the fire department's application for 2 Oklahoma Emergency Response Systems Stabilization and Improvement Revolving Fund, OERSSIF grants in the amount of $192,000 for capital equipment to support fleet expansion and improve quality of care. Chief, it's all yours again.
On me again. So we've actually applied for this grant 3 times since I became EMS chief. We've been awarded the grant twice, and that helped to remount 2 ambulances, which were completed last year. Kind of a little bit of background. There's ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act funding, that the county has used to purchase 2 additional ambulances for the city of Guymon to use. One of these 2 projects that I'm looking to apply for funding for would put the remaining large ticket item equipment on that ambulance to make it so that we could use it to expand the fleet instead of just replacing an existing unit. So we have to have all of the required equipment on the truck in order to respond to an emergency. So this would be asking the state for ORSERF funding to buy the remaining equipment. There is a $25,000 matching fund, so that's a 26% match for each of these grant proposals. The second grant proposal would be there's always updated equipment and the latest and greatest thing. And so it would actually be to purchase some IV infusion pumps so that we can more accurately infuse medications that we're giving in emergency situations, and also to purchase mechanical CPR, which provides a more consistent CPR. Right now we do it by hand and it works, but you provide a higher quality, more consistent CPR with the mechanical device. So that it would purchase those devices for the existing fleet. The fleet expansion grant application, I've added those items for the additional ambulance so that we're not, the two projects aren't kind of mutually exclusive, but would work together to expand our capabilities. Again, it's a $96,000 project with a $25,000 match. So altogether, it would be a $50,000 match if both are awarded, and we would bring in $142,000 to finish out both of those projects if both grants are awarded. There is a possibility for partial funding, and I'm not sure we would be able to look at that. If we are awarded partial funding, we would be able to reevaluate our position, whether we could accept that or not, because the $50,000 is all that we budgeted this year towards this application. But that's kind of the proposal.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? Motion?
I will motion to approve the fire department's application for 2 Oklahoma Emergency Response System Stabilization and Improvement Revolving Fund, the OERSSIF, grants in the amount of $192,000 for capital equipment to support the fleet expansion and improved quality care.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second.
Eidson,
Aye.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Setzer,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 4 ayes.
Mouthful to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a safe night. Agenda item number 13 is discussion and possible action to appoint Dakota Ray to fill the vacancy left by Jason Hitch on the airport board with a term ending in 2023. I think most of you know Dakota. He's a fine young man, and he's one of our people out at the airport that everybody gets to see. I think he'd be a good addition, so any discussion or question?
I always like to ask, is Dakota here tonight? There,
There he
yes,
is.
you go. There you go. So he's here. Awesome. So I would like to motion to appoint Dakota Ray to fill the vacancy left by Jason Hitch on the airport board with a term ending in 2023.
Second that.
Had a motion and a second.
Setzer,
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Eidson.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye. Presentation by Justin Proctor with Guernsey regarding utility rate changes. So we will turn it over to you.
Mayor, while he's making his way up here, I just want to thank Justin and Guernsey. We spent a lot of hours together, and I've got a lot of confidence in this young man, so I'm anxious for him to present this and discussion. So it's all yours, Justin.
And if you're more comfortable moving that around, whatever makes you happy.
Well, I think I'd like that. I know that you guys don't want to stare at my backside, so, and this might help me. Mike doesn't care.
I didn't tell him you were from Texas either, so we're good.
Well, don't hold it against me. I've been in Oklahoma for 21 years, my family won't let me come back now, but anyhow, that's. You know, somebody said a while ago, it's always great news when costs are going down. I think it's no surprise to any of us in this room or mayor or council members that that's generally not the case in what we find with our utility systems and the cost of providing service and owning and maintaining and employing the folks that do that. So Mike reached out to us and asked that we provide some assistance in helping develop some proposed rates, and billing comparisons for each of our utility services to present to you guys tonight. What I'm going to do is kind of walk through some of our historic financials, look at some of our past revenues and expenses, the margins that the utility systems produce, important margins for the city, and then we're going to take a look at some overall rate changes recommended by your staff and the rates that I've put together to produce those revenues. We'll look at billing comparisons at representative consumption levels for our residential, commercial, and industrial customers. So I'm just going to get started on this. I've already really talked about the agenda. You know, I think it's important for all of us in the room here because, you know, all of us are either utility staff, management, or ratepayers, or customers. You know, you guys have an important job to do. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the utility. You have a fiduciary responsibility to the city, and then also to the stakeholders, our citizens, and the ratepayers. And so you guys have a difficult task when it comes to establishing rates and revenues and the revenues that our utility services provide. So this is no simple task for you guys as you chart out a path forward. You know, when we think about utility rates, you know, really what we're thinking about is, you know, at a high level, what are our goals and objectives for the utilities? Each of our utilities require unique infrastructure to provide service. Some of that infrastructure is aging. Some of that infrastructure is quite expensive. So first of all, we have to have financial goals and objectives for these utility services, but then also for the utility service in total, because we provide a transfer payment. The utilities provide a transfer payment to the city budgets. So, you know, we think about at a high level what margins do we need the utilities to provide. If we need additional rate revenue, who does it come from? Which service does it come from? Who is affected? How much? How should retail rates be structured? There's just a lot of questions to ask. And I apologize for everybody that, first of all, that you can't see my pointer here because the TV absorbs it, and I don't have any way to navigate for you guys to see. But, you know, here we have the last 5 years of financial data for each of our utility services. You can see that we've got 2017 in column A through 2021 in column E. You guys have your iPads, I believe, and it might be easier to see on that. We have operating revenues, and I've got the gas division at the very top. But you can see the revenues that our gas division, the water, the sewer, and our sanitation services all produce. You can also see the expenses and the margins. There's a lot to take in here. I think that, you know, a couple of things, you know, to point out is that, first of all, you see that the last rate change, I believe, that we had was in 2018. So we've operated for nearly 5 years under the current rate structure. That's important in a couple of different, you know, ways. First of all, you know, for our natural gas system, we have a bundled rate. So when you guys see your bill, you have a customer charge and you have a commodity charge. But the bundled variable charge that we see, the $9 and change, if you will, includes the cost of gas plus the distribution charges for delivering gas to your homes and businesses. So one of the things that I've wanted to do is just break out you know, what we see in terms of our expenses excluding the wholesale cost of gas, because as many of you guys know, our natural gas cost that we see embedded in maybe your bills if you live outside of the city and have the investor-owned utility provide gas service out there for a farm or whatever. Or if we look at our electric bills, we see the cost of gas reflected in our average cost of energy, through the PCRF. And so, our current gas rate has a bundled rate, and that really affects the margin that the utility provides. And you can see that it fluctuates, over the years. And here in a minute, you're going to see what the current cost of gas is that the city is paying under current contracts. And it has a profound effect on the amount of margins that our natural gas utility produces. But you can see that for water and sewer, our water system, based on the city audits, is producing about $1.9 million of margin in 2021, but our sewer is losing about $1 million. So we have some issues there in terms of how each of those are performing. The margin that's provided by our sanitation services is about $600,000. The total margin that all of our utilities produce, you can see in the far bottom right, is about $2.9 million, and it's a number you'll want to store away. You'll see that number a couple of times here later on. But this is the amount of money that the utilities produce that the utilities either have for reserve margins for future capital outlays or for the transfer payment to the city for contribution to the city budget. So that's what we're working with on a historical basis. This is our income statement. And when we think about rates, we're always talking about a test year. We're looking at a 12-month period in time, and the city provided the 12 months ending December 31st, 2021 as the test year data. So what we're looking at there is expenses, billing units, revenues for each of our utility services, because it's from that point that we'll measure whatever the change in rates is and the revenues that it produces. So as I mentioned a while ago, you'll key in on that bottom number there in the bottom left, the $2.9 million. That's our starting point. Now, when we develop rates and cost of service studies, we generally make adjustments to revenues and expenses and things of that nature. Now, we've not done a full-blown cost of service study, but one of the things that I have done is make an adjustment to our expenses, but only to the gas department. When we make adjustments to expenses and rates and cost of service study, generally the litmus test is that they're known, measurable, and continuing in nature, because those are the expenses moving forward that we need to design rates to recover those expenses for. The adjustment that I made for natural gas, or for the gas department, you can see there in the middle, is $1,664,000. So the contract that the city is under for wholesale natural gas for 2023 results in $1.6 million of additional wholesale gas cost expense over the same period and the same number of billing units in 2021. So if we were to do nothing at all, the city is incurring an additional $1.6 million for the cost of gas that's not being passed on to anybody. There's no mechanism to recover those additional costs. We do not have an adjustment factor or an unbundled rate that would allow the utility, allow the city to stay whole in terms of the gross margins that it earns on the natural gas service. Now, for the other utilities, we don't have that issue. We don't have a commodity that we have to buy as a wholesale unit and sell as retail. We're just providing a distribution service. But it's important that we understand the impact of that $1.6 million. So if we were to do nothing, we would reduce the operating margin or the income that our utilities produce by that amount. And so we would restate that at $1.138 million as the adjusted test year. So what Mike and his staff instructed me to do was to produce electric rates and a rate change that would increase the utility services 15%. And so the 15% increase would be revenues that the city would have available to it to fund operating expenses and future capital outlays. You'll see here that the overall rate change in column D does not produce a 15% increase. You'll notice in the bottom right, and I want to point this out so that we can explain it and talk about it. The $3.4 million increase there in column D equates to a total income of $4.55 million, or a 28% increase in rates. That doesn't mean that the city has 28% more additional revenue to fund the distribution services. A lot of that is related to the $1.6 million that it's incurring those costs now and paying those to our wholesale gas suppliers, okay? So the amount of the rate change for average consumers in all of our rates across all of our utilities, as I mentioned a while ago, is about 15%. And we'll look at some data here to exhibit that. Over on the far left, we've got the utilities, the gas, water, wastewater, sanitation. Just for reference, the average number of consumers in each of our rate classes in each of the utilities, the annual consumption, those are the billing units, if you will. The adjusted revenue is the test year revenue, so that's 2021's revenue. And I have the proposed revenue broken out differently, as you can see, for water, wastewater, and sanitation than what is shown for natural gas. And it's because of the increase in the wholesale cost of gas and what we're proposing to do with that particular rate structure. And so the base rate would go from $4,255,000 to $4,896,000. If we go to the far right, you can see over in the blue shade that that's a $640,000 increase in the base rate, which is 15%. So those would be the additional revenues that our natural gas utility would produce based on the new rates. The unfortunate part is that wouldn't be the cost that's incurred to our ratepayers, our citizens, because what we need to do is to be able to recover the cost of gas also. Now, what we're proposing and what I'll talk about here in a little bit is treating the cost of gas as a pass-through. So right now, we have a rate, and that rate's about $9, right? And so embedded in that is the cost of gas plus the distribution revenue that the city needs to operate the system. The embedded cost of gas is a certain amount. To the extent that the average cost of gas is greater than that, then we have less wires revenue to operate the system. To the extent that gas drops below that point, then we're actually earning higher margins because of the low commodity price. You can't continue to operate when gas goes up to the levels that it's gone up to right now. I mean, it just is too big of a bite for the city to take, and I'll have some information here to exhibit that. So that's why we've broken that out, and I don't want to belabor it, but it is important because the city sees a 15% increase in the revenues that it gets to keep, but it actually is a 54% increase in total billing that our homeowners and our businesses have to pay. For those of you who look at your electric bill, you've seen your electric bills be higher, maybe even though your consumption is identical. And this is what you're seeing is the PCA, the power cost adjustment factor, that is causing that, and it's the fluctuation of the cost of fuel. So here are the natural gas rates, and you can see that we've got commercial, industrial, and residential, and I'll focus on the residential here, but our current rate is $17.28 a month, and it's $9.38 an MCF. And so what we're proposing is to go to a customer charge of $20.75 a volumetric charge of $10.62. But if you look at the very top, this is where we recover the $1.6 million of additional wholesale cost. I'm going to show you that the average cost of gas in the adjusted test year is about $8.03. It was about $3.57 in 2021. So it has more than doubled. The differential between that 803 and the 357, the embedded cost of gas is what I'll call it, is $4.46. And what we're proposing and what you'll see here in the billing comparisons is that we now begin to bill an adjustment factor that tracks the cost of gas. And so to the extent that gas were to remain at the level that it is today, that we've got those rates locked in for, we would see an adjustment factor of around $4 or $5, for instance. And the city keeps no additional revenue, it's a flow-through. So it maintains the city's gross margin. The reason that this is important is that if we designed rates to recover the high cost of gas today, well, gas has already come down, and I've got some information here. Let me just flip to the second slide. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and talking and not flipping the slides here. I've already explained the base rate and with A, and that the fact that our gas costs went up under the new contracts, $1.6 million. I've already explained that. Here you can see just a representative graph of the cost of gas at the Henry Hub. Henry Hub is a gas hub that we'll cite when we're looking at the cost of gas, but you can see that as of late, it's trended back down into the $3 or $4 range, but you can see back in 22 and part of 23, it looks like it was upward to $7 or $8. I mean, gas fluctuations, the cost of gas is not a foreign concept to us in this part of the world. But what we want to be able to do is, instead of the city having windfall margins when gas is low and then losing margins when gas is high, instead, let's lock in the rate or the revenue that the city needs in order to maintain the pipes and the meters and our distribution service, and let's just treat natural gas as a flow-through. And so if natural gas is expensive, we're all going to pay more. But if natural gas goes down, the rate comes down with it. Does that make sense? Okay. And you can see here some of the spreadsheets that I put together for this work. To the left, in the red, that 357 was the average cost of gas in 2021. I mentioned that a while ago. To the right is what the average cost of gas is under our new contracts that we're currently under. Now, Mike tells me that we've also locked in some additional contracts that are in the $5 range. The next time we lock in contracts, assuming gas costs continue to drop, they'll be even lower. The good news is with the proposed rates, this $4.46 adjustment factor will start to track with the cost of gas. Here is the rate impact if we were to eat the cost of gas at its current level. You can see that our margins under the same revenue, the same billing, the same level of expenses, but the new cost of gas, you can see that the natural gas utility margin would go from $2.4 million down to $700,000. So here's how that works. So now we've got the $1.6 million that we need to recover at the $4.46 per MCF, and you can see how that's passed through to each of our different rate classes, the commercial, the industrial, and the residential. The impact is that we have these rates on the left, and you saw where the commercial or the residential rate was $20.75 a month, $10.62, and you can see the gas cost adjustment revenue coming into the revenues of the cooperative, or, I'm sorry, the natural gas utility. And you can see it down at the bottom, the 1664 on the left. All of this information on the right is just a regurgitation of the previous slides, where we have the billing units at the top, the proposed revenue, and the overall change in the bottom right. So what does that mean for all of you guys? What does that mean for us who have a residence or a business? How does that equate to the bottom line? Here you see that we've got the $17.28 monthly charge, $9.38 rate. So under the current rates, or under the rates that are currently in place, an average consumer who has 5.42 MCF of consumption paid $68.12. Under the proposed rates, $20.75, $10.62 an MCF, and $4.46 adjustment charge based on the adjusted test year wholesale cost of gas, the new billing is $102 or a $34 increase. It's a significant amount. Now, having said that, if the cost of gas tracks back down and gets to the $3.57 level, then what you would see here is a 15% increase over the $68.12. Does that make sense? Tracking through that? I think that this is a great way to share, in the cost or the savings of our gas contracts. If we lock them in low, if gas prices are low, we don't have a rate that overcharges. But if gas costs go up, then the city needs to be able to remain whole on those wholesale costs. I had this slide duplicated, I'm sorry. It's hard to find good help. Here's our commercial rate. The 1762 goes to 25, 938 goes to 1062. The average consumption for a commercial customer is 21 MCF. Again, it's a 59% increase. The vast majority of that, again, is the wholesale cost of gas. Gas prices are already falling, goes back to $3 and change, then this increase, even under the new rates, is a 15% increase for any of these levels of consumption. And the industrial rate is the same. Don't mean to sound like a broken record, but what we're dealing with is a huge spike in the cost of gas that fortunately is already coming down. The summary of the rate change, I've just pasted this on each of the following slides for the water, the wastewater, and the sanitation. You can see for our water utility service that each of the rate classes, the overall increase is really tightly banded around the 15%. The common theme in all of these is that the fixed charge will go up a little bit more, or it will go up. The variable component charges not quite as much, so we go 1988 to 2338, $3.50 a month if you use 0 to 3,000 gallons. It'd be a 17% increase. For the average customer who uses 9,000 gallons or 9 billing units, you can see it's $4.82 or 15%, 15.56%. The commercial rate goes from $25.48 to $32.98, and about 11-cent increases across all of the billing blocks. The average consumption is 29,000 gallons. It's a $10.36 increase, or 15.38 cents, 15.38%, excuse me. And the industrial, now, Tracy tells me that the average consumption for most of our industrial customers is around 100, right? regardless, it's still about a 15% increase. I just don't have that billing consumption up there because we do have some very large industrial users that highly influence the average consumption, which is the 2571 billing units or the 15%. The wastewater is going to be very similar. In fact, you can see that for the rate components in each of these, that we just changed those 15%. And so you just see that just being highly banded across all consumption levels. Commercial's the same, 1348, 1550, 1 to 115. There's the industrial, they're all 15%. And for sanitation, there's about 55 different ways that we bill sanitation. And it just depends on how many carts you have, the size of the carts, so on and so forth. And so we've just increased all of those across the board equally at 15%, which produces that level of revenue. Now, I'm sure that there's at least one question. You guys were free to ask questions any time during this, but if there's any place where I need to go back, take a look at the rates or the billing comparisons, if we need to go back, I hope that I explained the notion of the gas cost adjustment factor well enough that we understand how that's going to work. That 446 will not be a number that you will see perpetually. It will go up and down as gas costs change.
I might add to that too, Justin, we're getting into summertime, and we're seeing a trend in natural gas to be going back down. And natural gas is affected by, everything that's going on overseas. So I look for this. This is something, I've been with the city of Guymon for many years, and we never had this factor put in there. I wish we'd have had it in there like 25, 30 years ago. But I don't think we're going to see these prices up there where they're at. I wish I had a crystal ball, but they will be coming down here pretty quick.
I guess my question would be, it's the 1,000-pound gorilla that's sitting in the corner, and we're all aware of it. But in the projections we've seen on water rates, we talked about a tiered structure. And I'm the last one who really wants to talk about this, but the more you use, the more you pay. And I've had fescue lawn and probably overwatered over the years, and now I'm in withdrawals, turning the sprinkler off and not running. But is our tiered rate that you've kind of proposed, or I guess this is kind of part of the proposal, is that going to be, are we going to be comfortable with that?
The tiered rate,
or is that your intent, the tiered rate?
Well, we currently have a tiered rate, and the tiered rate that I'm proposing is not an aggressive change. There's a slight change. In fact, I would argue that for the most part, it doesn't have a strong pricing signal that would cause somebody to significantly change their behavior. It's certainly something that we may want to consider in doing that. These particular rates maintain the gradual escalation of costs as consumption increases. Most of the change in these rates is improving fixed cost recovery to try to stabilize the revenues for the city.
We had many hours on that discussion. Tracy? Yeah, and a lot of people, and I praise Guymon right now, they're paying attention to the water, and I appreciate that. But there's still a lot of people that just have not cooperated like they should, and we thought about raising the rates basically to help control conservation efforts. So it's tough.
So what we're looking at, most of the figure I'm hearing most consistently is we're probably looking at around a 15% increase. Right. And will that bring, so I guess my next question would be, So if we do that, if we do what you're presenting and with the pass-through on the gas, which I kind of agree with, I kind of like, because that way people are not getting strung out on high gas. You know, anyway, will that, for lack of a better term, will that see us through the end of the year's budget and get us to the point that we're not subsidizing everybody's utilities by?
Well, I'm going to defer to staff about, you know, how this will affect us relative to the current budget. I've not seen the budget, but it will produce, to give you an idea, it probably would have been a good idea to call it out just a little bit better, but it's going to produce about $1 million of total revenues across all of the utilities. And so the bottom line would be about 3.4 less than 1.6. So I think that's 1.1. I mean, that's the additional margin that it's going to bring to the bottom line. All things being equal, I, again, don't know what the 22 budget looks like, but that's about $4.5 million that would be available before transfer or to be held in reserve for large capital projects that the staff has identified is forthcoming.
And I will add to our sales tax, there's that other stream of revenue that we've not even touched on here. This is just part of our revenue stream, but I feel like I am positive that the year 2022, we've got enough. I'll quit spitting in that thing. Was that me spitting in it? Mm-hmm. We will, it'll come out great. It'll even make, 2023, 2024 will be a lot better to budget and go forward with this, with what we're looking at here.
I think to add to that, I mean, the rate change would only be in effect for half the year.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Good point.
So you've done studies like this for a lot of other municipalities, I take it as well, right?
Other municipalities, other services.
Have you ever seen a situation in which the heavy part of the burden was on the industrial and the commercial parts, like the rate increases, to minimize the increases on the residential? And a couple slides ago, I noticed there was a change rate, and for some reason, industrial was a less of a percentage of a change rate than residential, and I believe it was commercial. Yeah, 14.73 is it compared to everybody else being at 15% change rate?
Yeah, and that just has to do with the average consumption. So they got very high consumption, the average cost is lower. If you were to look at all of these rates, you'd find that the residential average cost is highest, the industrial is the lowest, and that is the norm. Now, in terms of the amount of the rate change, you know, really what's the most helpful tool to have is a full cost of service where we see how each rate class is performing and what they're contributing to the operating margins based on the cost of actually providing service. And we don't have, you know, sufficient granular data right now to do that. Generally speaking, it's not uncommon for an industrial and commercial rate to provide a higher return or higher margin than the residential rate. That's not uncommon.
That's what I would like to see.
The reason that I propose that the rates be equivalent in nature is just because what we're not able to answer is the question, should somebody have a higher rate change than somebody else based on the cost of service?
Well, I think as long as we're within legal guidelines, I would say yes, absolutely. Our industrial partners should be carrying a higher burden. I mean, they're the ones that decided to do business in a desert, and they decided to invest in a business that takes a lot of water.
Yeah. So, of course, the 15% increase for them is also significant. It's not an insignificant amount.
I'm just in the boat of I'd like to see zero increase for residents and a larger increase for industrial and commercial people. That's just me.
That probably would not be the norm to do something like that.
Yeah, I'm not normal. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, that would be out to do that, unless it was cost-based, unless we ran full analysis and it proved out to be that way. And
Can-
then you've got a reason and some backing to say the rates are out of line. Or
That would be,
the revenue contribution from one class as opposed to the other. is
Right.
out of line. Typically, you're not gonna find it fall out quite like that.
Right.
You're typically gonna find that the industrials and the commercial rates, and this is across all types of utilities, are providing a subsidy to the residential customer.
You're more normal what you thought, because we chased that rabbit. We did. We investigated that, and, yeah. About the industrial and commercial side, taking care of it, so. But ended up with what you're looking at here. What we recommend.
well, it's hard for me to swallow a less of a percentage in change for our industrial partners. That's tough.
So, in kind of in regards to that, so as we go forward, Mike, and Justin, I'm assuming that that staff's plan is to continue updating, plugging new figures into this as we go forward, into your figures or your nexus, so that, say in 6 months or a year, we've got a lot clearer picture of exactly what we're doing.
We can continue to move forward with development of cost of service.
And
Definitely.
I'm not doing that as far as offering you the job. I'm mainly asking him the question.
And it is something that Mike and I have talked about.
Certainly.
And Tracy, the thing is we've got to have the data to do it. And it's just a matter of getting the data. Some of that data is hard to come by if it's not being kept over time. But we're talking about what are the value of the assets that we have in the field. Some of them have been in place for a very long time.
Mayor, we owe it to the citizens of Guymon. We're going to be looking at this every quarter for a while. Every quarter.
I figured it would. We've had these discussions with Uri and gas prices and.
Yes.
Yeah, investing with staff, this gas cost adjustment, this is a factor that we see in our electric bills that changes sometimes monthly. Just depends on the utility. For our natural gas investor-owned utilities in the region, they don't exactly have a gas cost adjustment factor. They have a wholesale gas rate that's depicted on the bill. So it's the total cost of gas. And then they have their wires piece separately. With that said, Mike says we're going to look at this quarterly. The idea would be is we may not have to change that factor often if gas costs are relatively stable. It's assess it, monitor how much below, it's the over-under recovery that we are. So if we pay $5 million a year in gas cost, did we recover $5 million, or was it 4, or was it 6? We keep a balance, and depending on if it's high or low, it either is a surcharge to our customers, or it could actually be a refund. It could be negative. You've seen that on your electric bills before. And so this will behave the same way. We'll probably look at it a little more frequently the first year, because gas costs spiked and are coming down. It might not have to be changed down the road, maybe every once or twice a year.
Any other questions?
I would have rather been the singing and the dancing part as opposed to the rest. I'm sorry. I know that this is real fun. If there are questions, of course, staffs, we're working on this together, so be glad to answer any questions, and they can convey that to the council, or if there's questions from the public.
I'd just like to make a closing comment. I want to thank Justin, Tracy, Lavona, Velma, all your girls. Anytime we needed anything, it was just I mean, we shoveled a lot of data around the last 3, 4, 5 months, so. It's been a chore. I don't think Guymon's ever seen one this in-depth. I'm real comfortable with this one.
No, and I definitely appreciate all the hard work that's gone into it, and even more so on behalf of some of the citizens I've talked to. This is something that people have been worried about for quite some time now, so the fact that we're taking the diligence to address this is awesome.
Okay. So with that, anything else for Justin before we move on? Everybody good? Okay. Agenda item number 5 is discussion and possible action on approval of resolution number 23-01. A resolution setting utility rates, solid waste disposal charges, fees and deposits, and establishing procedures for utility connections, disconnections, and reconnections. The resolution is attached. Mr. Shannon.
Everything in this resolution is just what we went over for the last hour. If the council deems it to approve, we can start tomorrow making plans for bringing more water, taking care of sewer, and funding fire department, police departments, parks. Yeah, with a little bit more at ease. Now, it's not going to be pleasant. Nobody likes to spend money, but
Well, we did, trying to think, when we did one, was it 2013 or 14? I think we did a pretty substantial one. Hadn't done one, I think it was, back then it was 10% across the board. Best I remember. That's old history. Any questions, discussion? Anybody like to make a motion?
I will motion to approve Resolution 23-01, a resolution setting utility rates, solid waste disposal changes, fees, and deposits, and establishing procedures for utility connections, disconnections, and reconnections.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second.
Setzer,
Nay.
Sanchez,
Aye.
Idson,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We've got 3 ayes and 1 nay.
Okay. All right, we got one more deal to do. I think we will move the public comments to the last part of the do we have to do Diane Brown's deal? Then we'll do public comments and reports from council and committees. Kind of got things scattered around tonight, if that's good with everybody. So we'll go to the Guymon Employment Retirement Board, which is a very quick deal. Okay, so we'll come out of the Guymon Utilities Authority, we'll reconvene as the Guymon Employment Retirement Board. Agenda item number 2 is attendance roll call and determination of quorum, which we've already done. Agenda item 3 is approved the minutes of the special meeting of March 14th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 14th, 2023.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Idson,
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Setzer,
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes.
Agenda item number 4 is discussion and possible action on a request for a lump sum distribution for Diana K. Brown from her retirement accounts. It's her money. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request for a lump sum distribution for Diana K. Brown.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Idson,
Aye.
Setzer.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes.
Okay, we'll go to reports committees, then we'll do the public comments. Anybody have anything you'd like to bring up? Josh, Geraldine?
Nope.
Well, we have a lot going on around town. As you know, we are in the middle of a musical downtown. The junior high is doing a play as well. Lots of graduation things going on. The junior rodeo, which is something that we are helping to fund as a city, is happening this weekend, right? So a lot of fun stuff. And I guess I'll take this time to explain my no vote on that last vote. I'm obviously for people paying their fair share, and it's no secret that our industrial complexes out here use more water and more of our resources than anyone else does by a very large margin. So I think that they should be paying for those things. And I would like to see the rate increase on them, not on our citizens. And not the burden of our citizens. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little alarmed that our council member to my left and our new council member over here didn't ask any questions during that time. And Ms. Sanchez, you work in one of those industrial complexes. I would like to have had you at least weigh in on the discussion. So that's all. I just wanted to make that public and comment on the record.
Thank you. The only thing I've got, and Mike, we'll let you go if you've got anything. Let me do mine, then you can jump in. You know, over the last month, and it's been busy, I spent a lot of time talking water with lots of folks all over the world, and I think we're coming to some conclusions on some stuff. Anyway, the good things I've seen in the last few weeks in Guymon. Several weeks ago, Sunset Hills, through a cooperative venture with the Hooker golf team, we had the Class 2A golf, regional golf, the girls golf regional playoffs in Guymon. I think they brought about 100 young ladies to play golf, and that was early in the week. Then on Monday, the next Monday, we had the 2A boys regional golf tournament. And I think they had 160, was that not?
Yes,
I heard it was 160. Sunday afternoon, the golf course was swarmed with kids, practice rounds. They played the golf, brought a lot of people that saw Guymon and the good points. OPSU Rodeo, I think, was a tremendous success from the amount of people that were here and the campers I saw parked. And of course, Pioneer Days, everybody stepped up. With Chamber of Commerce weather, good weather, we had a great week for Pioneer Days, and a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into that. I want to congratulate all of them. We're into graduations at Panhandle State, biker run, and a lot of other stuff going. A lot of things happening in Guymon. As they say, all roads lead to Guymon. So I want to commend everybody that's been involved in all of those different events and all the hard work they put in for our community. That's all I got, Mike, so I'm turning it to you.
I want to go ahead and just touch on a couple of little things that you just brought up about Pioneer Days. Our economic development person, Sheila, she runs an analytics on the whole week. And I'm just kind of do this by memory, but there's close to 35,000 people come to town. 35,000. That's unbelievable. And I'll be sending that out to the council probably tomorrow or the next day. And if anybody else would like to see that, we'll just stick it on a webpage. And if you want to go to that, it's impressive. 35,000 people. Our transportation department put out counters. There's one up by Walmart, and the other one is out on Highway 54 in that same period of time. I think there was 85,000 vehicles traveling east and west on 54, and north and south, they're on 412, 64. I think pretty close to 25,000. Now, folks, that's economic development at its finest, people coming in, because you know those people were coming to Guymon for a reason and spent money. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Couple little things. In my code department, Brianna and I bragged about you all the time. This department's really been busy. You know, they got new cases of, you know, just like we went through tonight. They had 90 of them this month. So they're doing a magnificent job. You've always heard of the unsung heroes. This is the department that doesn't get much, but they sure catch a lot of thunder, but they're making a difference. So I'm proud of that department. I think this year they've had a little over 1,000 cases that they've worked. So they're out there doing their jobs. Building permits, there's still a lot of activity in building permits going on. So I don't have anything compared to last year, but there's people building, people spending money, so and that's a good thing. And I want to close tonight. The city of Guymon hired. We got a new person on our team. Matt McKinley. He was hired. His position is a regulatory compliance director. Mac comes with. Mac's a home county boy, I guess you'd say. Born and raised in Hooker, Oklahoma. Moved away for 20 plus years, and we snuck around and got him to come back to Guymon. So, Mac, welcome to the family. This is your second day?
Yes, sir.
Second day. We're just getting to the size of all the regulatory compliance issues that gas and water, solid waste, and everything that we do. Unbelievable amount of stuff they're throwing at us. He comes from that world. So, welcome aboard. Appreciate you being here. And that, Mayor, that's all I got.
That's all you got? Okay. Well, welcome, Matt. Okay, we're going to do public comments. So you want to talk in public comments? So I couldn't hear you. Come up to the podium if you've got a question, please.
I got a couple of questions about Sunset Lake. Is there a reason why the water shortage is down? Because, you can see the lake, it's in bad shape.
Okay. So you'll understand we're in public comments. We can listen to you talk about it, but I can't give you any answers. It's not an agenda item. So if you if you'd like to get maybe in contact with Mr. Shannon tomorrow, he can give you kind of the background on Sunset Lake.
All right. I'll hang around afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't have to be home till dark, so.
He can answer
I'll
your
get
question.
hold of you then.
Okay.
That'll work.
All right, and the second thing I have is a safety issue for the Guymon school buses. I live right there on the corner of 7th and Canyon. The school buses go down the street pretty fast, but the cars that's going north-south, they're going just as fast. Is there any way we can get stop signs put up in that corner? For one simple reason, there's kids on those buses. The school buses don't slow down for the corners. Cars coming the other direction aren't slowing down. There's going to be a wreck one day. Some kids are going to get hurt. And that's a concern I've been talking to my wife about, and she wanted me to address it with y'all and see if there's any way we can get maybe more police in that area to slow the traffic down. Because it's not just during school time, it's all through the night. We got vehicles going way over 25 miles an hour, and somebody's going to get hurt, if not killed, especially the children on the school buses. My question is, can we please get four-way stop signs or something down there to slow the traffic down?
Well, again, public comments, I'll have to say thank you, but I think you're going to visit with him. He will probably carry that conversation.
I got you covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
You bet.
I can even talk to Michael about it, but I'm watching the school buses and other cars go down the streets. It's pretty scary sometimes. And I don't want nobody hurt, especially children.
Amen.
All right, thank you.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Michael Lear.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
That's all I have. I appreciate you guys taking time to listen.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, anything else on public comments? You got 3 minutes, so make her
Thank
fast.
you. You're so kind. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Denise Rochoff. I was very fundamental in getting the YMCA here in Guymon, getting the funding for it, and we had a lot of volunteers work on that. We set a vision to help people from the womb to the tomb, and we did it. We raised several $1 million getting that facility put out there. It has done that and more. My father-in-law was a regular member and participated in the water aerobics and in the therapy pool. It kept him active. Anybody in my family will tell you his health completely was reliant on that therapy pool and the water. I think Kim's dad also went to the pool, the therapy pool, and spent a lot of time, from what I understand, in the lobby, visiting and socializing. I can't imagine that Kim didn't take after his dad. I've been approached by a great number of people in the community because they know I helped get the Y set up. And I poured my heart and my money and my time into that. And I want to make sure it continues, and I will continue to make sure we get that project back. We are asking you to consider our vision. If we could combine the Y with a new school project, then the community center could be inside the school, and the school could use the property as well. We've researched this, and it's been successful. It's done a great job for special ed, for athletics, and all kinds of sports. It will help the school. It will help the Y get back, not the Y brand, but the Y facility is what I'm referring to. We would like to have a chance to work with you. We think it's critical that our school district get the bond. They would like to, the way I understand it, the Y is a restrictive deed made out to the YMCA, and that it would be possible for this city to deed or change the deed, I'm not sure David would be more appropriate, given those legal terms, to the school, or doing a commitment if the bond issue passes, that the city could give it to the school. It would save the school lots of money. It would be very useful for the school. It would be very useful to get a community center back in Guymon, and it would keep our pool and our therapy pool and our young people and our elderly people like me in a place where when you need therapy, you can get it. You don't always need physical therapy. Jason, I don't mean to undermine your business, but if you could help us, we really think that this is the way to keep the facility useful, not to let it go to waste. And I don't know what else we could say to that. I don't think it would cost the city any money, and it would be a tremendous help to the Guymon Public Schools. They're working on a bond. The problem is time is not our friend right now. So we need to know that we could come and visit with the council, visit with Mike Shannon, whatever we need to do to see if they would cooperate and help us get this project where it's not a lost cause. It is dear and near to me. I know a lot of people that are willing to help. I think we can get this done. You can't believe how many people have come to me and said, Denise, I know you got that project going. I did not get it going by myself. It did not happen just because of me. It happened because the Guymon community wanted that facility, and they stepped up and they donated to it. So I would be glad to set up a meeting. I will do whatever it takes to get the city and the school where we can do something with the Y project. But we felt like we just needed to come and ask for your help and your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? If you would, please give us your
Yes,
name.
my name is Kason Oaks. I'm new in town. I would say that I moved about January. I received a position at the Guymon Church of the Nazarene, so I'm Reverend Kason Oaks. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit of a position that I have today. Part of our decision-making process in moving my family of 3 young boys and my wife to Guymon, Oklahoma, there was a few draws. As you well know, that our panhandle is known as no man's land, but there's certain things about Guymon that I've come to love and was a draw to us whenever we researched Guymon. And I didn't know if this was going to be a kind of a polling thing about this, but I mean, it was about the why as well. One of the selling points whenever considering the move was that Guymon had a YMCA. We moved from Watonga, Oklahoma, which is a size 2A schools, and we didn't have resources like that. And so imagine the demise that we had when we found out that this facility was closed. But as an outsider looking in, I don't know how long it will take to become an insider, but I know what it's like to be an outsider looking in. And I saw the YMCA as a draw to this community. And the closure of the Y, I believe, is a blow to the community development. I understand that the YMCA has been an inherited issue to the city of Guymon, and the shutdown of the YMCA is not a reflection upon the municipalities of the city of Guymon, yet the power over those facilities has been shifted into your hands. And what many of the citizens of Guymon had confided in me is a desire to have a collective partnership with the local organizations and sponsorships to keep this asset from being another ghost of assets past. Any creative partnerships that you can consider in keeping these facilities open will have a large positive impact within the Panhandle at large. And I believe the city of Guymon will have missed capitalizing upon this owned resource that develops community health and development if a lack of consideration to keep these facilities open to our community at large. And so please consider what my constituents are proposing this evening. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Okay, one more. Ms. Harvest.
Hello, I'm Deirdre Harbison Humphreys. This evening, we've called on you to be visionaries. We're asking you to do this for the benefit of our school children and our entire community. We're willing to do the work, to speak to community members, to create flyers, to go door to door, and to organize. We're willing to do all of this. What we need from the city is a deed, a restrictive deed, or a land swap. For the land where the YMCA currently sits. We're not asking for a decision tonight. You can't comment. But we're simply asking you to sit down with us, to listen, and to work with us. But time is of the essence. The community is already working on a new bond. We're asking you to be long-sighted. We'll need you to work with the school and the community for a unified effort with utilities, tourism dollars, and a representative from the city to serve on the rec board. Our schools are overflowing, and our community is desperate for better quality of life. We need a pool and a rec center in our community. Apart from Kansas, we're the only ones in our area north of Amarillo that have access to a therapy pool. This would be huge for our special ed students. This would be a win-win for everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight. Well, Jason, you did well. Put those down.
Hey, I was trying to hesitate so you